G'day folks, welcome back to the channel for part 8 of our Templar Skater playthrough, where last episode we did all of the left side of Homestead, and now we're moving on to the right side of Homestead. I've also done some shopping in between episodes, and let's go through that now. So first thing that's kind of easy, I've taken the adornments. I think they were, was it soul dust, corpse dust? I've taken the corpse dust off of the rings, and I'm going to put soul shards on there now. Soul shards is 20% vitality resistance, and more or less lets you ignore energy, but mostly it's there for the vitality res, which is the only one we're actually struggling with at the moment. Seeing both chaos and aether this high at this point in the game is very unusual. Normally my chaos resist will be around 20 or 30%, and I'll be struggling to get it as high as I can. For the first time, I think ever, it's just no problem at all. And the other thing I did was I went and found this weapon. You can look for weapons with procs. If you just go to a vendor and just type in chance, you'll get every shield, which you can safely ignore all the non-green ones. You'll get a few components, and you'll also get any rare items with a chance when hit, chance on attack, anything like that. Now, Resolute of the Grove, this is actually a really good amulet. Just for that heal proc alone, especially in hardcore, you generally want of the Grove. We are about to get a new amulet though, so I'll leave that alone. So yes, I found this Hellfire Spellblade of Scorching, which I will use. However, I don't have the spirit to use my book without that, so unfortunately can't use it just yet. So I'll put it in the pile of stuff that I'm not supposed to touch. And the other thing I did is I bought some blueprints. So Aether Soul here comes from Devil's Crossing. This is an amulet and metal component. You will most likely need these at some point later. And also, if you look at the bottom two lines on that, less damage from ethereals and less damage from aether corruptions. If you're going into areas with a lot of ethereals, the resistance and the less damage from them is really nice for hardcore. These three came from the Rovers. Mark of Mogdrogan we probably won't use for quite a while because it is very expensive. 12 Aether Shards is nothing to be sneezed at, but that is more or less a straight upgrade to your boot slot. Mark of the Traveler is, well, this is a straight upgrade to Mark of the Traveler, but it is expensive, so it'll be a while before we use that. The Runestone, this goes on your head. Aether resistance, and again extra damage to ethereals and aether corruptions this time. This is really good for Ashes of Malmo, and just aether and elemental resistance on your helmet is also a good thing. This one's a bit cheaper, so we will be making one of these for our helmet. And the last one is the Restless Remains. You can skip this one. Energy and casting speed are not really things we're struggling with, but getting attack damage converted to health on your gloves is quite good. I will see if I can make one of those, and the head one as well, that I can't remember the name of even though I just looked at it. Runestone. For that we need Wardstone times 3, which we have. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And that's 12 of our Aether Crystals gone. But we are now capped on every resistance except Vitality, and this is really weird. And then we have the Restless Remains. That's all of our Aether Crystals gone. So you remember how I was saying, if you think you have enough Aether Crystals, it's because you haven't done any crafting yet. This is what I meant. Okay, with that said, there is one more thing we need to do, which is go back to Devil's Crossing, and we're going to respec some points. So we are no longer going to be using Calidor's Tempest. So we can take, sorry, not Calidor's Tempest, we can take 12 points out of Electra's Flash Freeze. And we are going to put those into Tectonic Shift. Now this one reduces the skill recharge and adds a bunch of bleeding damage we don't really care about, and also the plus 3 meter range is nice. So now we can almost skate around with no cooldown.
That skill's not ready.
This is how we're going to be killing most of the trash, and it is also how we're going to be doing most of our moving. With that said, let's go ahead and get started on the right side of Homestead, and this should be the easiest time I've ever had doing the right side of Homestead. I think I need to talk to, yep, Olgrim. Now, this part is important, okay? You must choose the Order of Death's Vigil. If you don't choose these guys, so if you side with Kaimans, then you will not have access to the NPC we need in order to drop the helmet that we want for this build. The helmet is one of the key items in reducing the cooldown on this skill to the point where you can spam it. So when I say must choose Death's Vigil, I do mean must. This is not like, you know, maybe you want to, no, you have to choose it. Which a lot of people, I don't know why, a lot of people prefer Kaiman's Chosen. I'm not a fan of their quests, to be honest. But, you know, whichever one you prefer, it literally doesn't matter. You are picking Death's Vigil this time. So, let's go talk to them. And hopefully, I think the first quest is the one for the remains that we'll have to go find, which will be good. So we'll be getting a new helmet, which means we'll be destroying this one to take our runestone off of it. But, yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. Okay, what must I do? I will recover the remains. Level 33. Let's go ahead and put 1 point in spirit. Can we use it yet? Nope. Having said that, we are literally putting points into the bar, so maybe we can. Nope. 56. We are 3 spirits short. If I was really worried about this, I could just take one of these soul shards off of here and put a prismatic diamond, I think they are. No, the emeralds. The emeralds that give stats. I could just put one of those literally anywhere on my gear. It could go on any slot, I think. Or at least a lot of them. But we'll just wait another level, and then we'll have it. So that'll be fine as well. So the quest we just picked up from them is to gather Malkadar's remains, which is what we're going to do. And we're doing a decent amount of damage with this now, which is nice. That's a very nice dead end we just found there. Once we kill, what's her name? Is it Sister Bravna? I forget. Once we kill the NPC that has the Skybreaker helm, we'll be skating around with very little to no cooldown. And it'll be grand old time for everybody. And by everybody, I mean me. There we go, and the damage really stacks up on one spot. When you charge through them, it puts fire on the ground. When the fire hits them, it procs Aether Fire, which puts more fire on the ground. And it all just builds up. If you can keep them standing in one place, this should do absolutely silly amounts of damage. It's still not going to be quite as good as, you know, the Spellbreaker I'm playing at the same time, in terms of clearing the screen, because you only clear in a straight line with this build, but it should still be pretty good. We're going to ignore this for now. We'll come back later when we have Honored with the Rovers, and we'll be doing that. See all that green patch? That's all the Aether Fire stuff. So each little section of this fire, if you look, this is 2 patches of fire, and each one of them can independently proc the Aether Fire devotion, which is more or less how this build gets its damage. For the Black Legion insignias, you can, if you so desire, run around here, collect a bunch of them, maybe reset your session, run around again. You can collect 15 of them in normal, and then when you get to this section in ultimate, you can just say, oh, you mean these insignias that I collected in normal, here you go, and you're done. Alright, we need a chthonic seal. Hopefully Bolvar will drop one. Or somebody else, perhaps. Alright, and usually have another set of dog tags in there, but not today. Alright, that is our amulets done, so we no longer care about those. Although, again, if you want to, you can go around and collect a bunch of them. Hey, here's my man. Bolvar. Just remember to run through him, and you'll stack up damage real quick. There we go. He didn't drop his amulet, unfortunately. Was that Blood of Chthon? It was. So I was hoping for Binding Rune, so as I could go and get that Devotion Shrine. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But that's fine. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and get the... Maybe speaking too soon here. No. These guys here with the yellow names are the ones who will drop the item I want. There we go. Okay, beautiful. So... You know what? I'll come back. It's a good trick when you know you're going somewhere that has a rift gate, but you need to come back, is to just drop a portal, go to the rift gate that you know is ahead of you, and then use that rift gate to portal back to the one you put on the ground. So that is what I'm going to do here, to go get that Devotion Shrine. And then I'm going to reset the session and come back and kill Bolvar again, because I want his amulet. And if he can kindly drop me an amulet with of the Grove, that would be amazing. It would also be very surprising, so I'm not going to hold my breath for that. Right, another point in the Viper. One more and we get the thing we're after, but Vitality Resistance is quite literally the only one we want. I got this on the Spellbinder as well. It's actually pretty good. But anyway, not for this build. Let's jump back in, chuck all the buffs on, and port to the Blood Grove. I believe that was all I had to do. Yep. Where are we? Blood Grove. Oh, so another thing that might be worth pointing out for anyone who doesn't know, if you're playing on a keyboard and mouse, and let's say you happen to zoom in a little bit and you accidentally spun your camera or whatever, if you press number 3 on your number pad, it'll zoom you right out. Press 2, it'll take you back to the default north facing, but kind of zoom you in a little bit. And so if you, let me just mess up my camera again, if you press 2 and then 3, it'll take you back to default north, and then 3 will zoom you out to the max. So just a little tip that I discovered recently after my almost 2,000 hours of Grim Dawn. Alright, so we're looking for Bolvar, and obviously we're going to be killing these guys as well, because we will need 3 Chthonic Seals of Binding for a... I think it's the next quest, actually, from the Death's Vigil. Here is our favorite man himself. And as before, we're going to stack up a bunch of damage on him. There he goes, and he's dropped his amulet. Okay. Alacrity is good. Stone-faced is also, I want to say good. I think that's the armor percentage. I was thinking it was physical resistance, but I don't think it is actually, now that I'm looking at it. Anyhow, that's a really good amulet, so we're going to use that. We do still need that wardstone for bleed resistance, so let's go get our wardstone back. If you have to kill him a couple of times, it's not the end of the world. It's definitely not a bad thing to have a few too many Chthonic Seals of Binding. There will be components that you're going to want to craft later that will need 12 of them. including some relics as well as just components, so it's definitely worthwhile to get a few extra of those. So while you're farming for +1 Oathkeeper skills, it definitely wouldn't hurt to have a few extra. So I'm going to head on into the Blood Grove and get started on the clearing out the barn, or not the barn, what is it called? The mill. So we're going to go clear out the mill. Which is just here. So just up the road across a little lake, I guess you'd call it. Okay, that's not at all what I thought it was. It was the right color for a chthonic seal, but unfortunately it wasn't a chthonic seal. Okay, so when you come in here, you're going to get a bunch of these things pop up. You just basically run over them. There we go. And then you head inside the barn, you get another bunch of them. And same deal, just kill them. Alright, there we go, that should be all of... Yep, lumber is done. So those two groups and you're done. Unfortunately no totem there. This area is really good for farming totems. So if you're interested at all in that, this is the place to do it. Not particularly interested right this second. Let's go say hello to Zarya. Now Zarya is a bit of a scourge for a lot of new players. My first hardcore death was... Well, actually, I think my first hardcore death was somewhere in Act 1, but my first kind of character that I got up off the ground died to Zarya. If you want to fight Zarya, you need to have high chaos resistance. You can skip Zarya if you think you have, you know, poor resistances or your character's not ready for it. But do be aware that in the castle, I guess you'd call it, just behind Zarya, is a boss called Karos. Thalnosh, I think is his first form's name. Regardless what his actual name is, there's another chaos boss in there, and if you are concerned enough to be skipping Zarya, just know that you should be more concerned about him, and you will need chaos resistance for both of them anyway. So if you can't kill Zarya, you need to find some way to fix your build. By which I mean just find some more chaos resistance. Honestly, it's mostly chaos resistance you need. The other thing you can do is wait for her, and for Thalnosh as well, to drop their crystals, and then run. So if you have enough room, you can potentially run away from both of them. You can definitely run away from Zarya, but Karos is... he's in his own little room, so good luck. Alright, so I'm going to go up the hill here to get to Zarya. I will probably attempt to kill Zarya. And then at that point I'm going to go back and do a bunch of Death's Vigil quests. Okay, those blues are not at all what I want. Okay, and there is another level, which you know what that means. That means we are getting a new weapon. Right. Just keep putting it in the bar, whack that on there. I don't know why I took that off, I went to get this one. And we will be taking a quick trip back to town in order to get our flint back. So keep the add-on, chuck that on there. And I think it's going to be this one. It's not. It's this one. Okay. Let's head back, and we'll go play with Zarya. One thing to note when you're coming up on Zarya is that Zarya has a devotion shrine right next to her. Leave that alone until you've killed Zarya. You really don't want her jumping in on a fight with a devotion shrine. This location here potentially has a treasure trove in it. Anchoret seal. Could be good. Let's actually have a look at that. Elemental resistances are good. Poison and acid also good. Can I swap out Crunleys? I could, but I would be losing chaos, so we're going to leave that for now. Let's go up here and get the bathhouse. And then this is the last location that could potentially have the treasure trove. Should be here, unless I missed one on the way up, which is definitely possible. Nope, here it is. I thought it was there, but anyway. Arbiter. Transcendent Relic, bunch of elemental damage, health, defensive, LE resist, and a two-handed proc. A two-handed skill. Okay, we're not going to use that. Okay, so here's the Devotion Shrine, the Desecrated Shrine, and here, where is she? Here is Zarya the Carver. Just Chaos Resist, that's all it is really. If you don't have maxed Chaos Resist, make sure you're at least close. 70's fine. I've killed her plenty of times with 50, so just whatever you're comfortable with. With that said, let's go ahead and kill her. One thing you can do when her crystals pop up, you can actually kill them. I was going to try and kill them, but apparently I killed her too fast. You can kill the crystals, and the crystals are the majority of the threat from her. So if you're struggling to kill her, you can just walk straight in here, if you are so inclined, or you can kill her crystals. You can also run away from the crystals, just kite her back down the path you came up. That would also work. I do have 3 Chthonic Seals, so we're going to head back to Death's Vigil. We'll turn in the Malkadar's Remains. I'm going to chuck that on as well. One more level for those gloves. I swapped in the Explorer's Tunic just for a little bit of XP. You don't have to do this, and it may actually be detrimental to level up too quick. So, as you're moving through areas, the higher level you are, the more sort of advanced the enemies in that area will be. So if you keep your level lower, then you can potentially have an easier time of different areas because the monsters in them will be lower level. It really is up to you if you want to bother doing that. Let's have a look at this stuff. What do we got? We're only friendly, so we can't buy any of this, but... Blessed Whetstone is a decent buy. Blessed Steel you will need later. Haunted Steel you'll need later. Black Tallow. This is the Chthonic version of the Aether Soul. This is really good. So amulets and metals, you'll basically want to have a Black Tallow or an Aether Soul in both, depending on whether you need Chaos or Aether resistances. They're really, really good. Let's go ahead and vendor all this while we're here. Okay, and that one as well. I am on the lookout for a new pair of boots, but once we get respected with Homestead, which is probably going to be when I turn in all this stuff, at that point we will be able to buy the Harvest foot pads, which are a very nice pair of boots that I pretty much always get. Having said that, they are Aether and Chaos resistance, which we kind of don't need at the moment. But anyway, let's go ahead and chuck that on. I'm trying to get to 35. Okay, kill Kara's Sigil of Chthon. We are not doing this quest. If you are playing on hardcore, skip this quest always. Generally, you'll be fine. But if you do one thing wrong, you're going into an area that's covered in Aether Fire. At which point, if you do something wrong, you stand in the wrong spot for a little bit too long, you're just dead. And the quest reward is absolutely not worth it. Right. So we're heading into an area covered in Aether Fire. This is the one downside to the Death's Vigil, is that this quest will take you into an area, into the mine, which is absolutely covered in Aether Fire, which is not where you want to be. However, we are very mobile, so we should be okay to just skate and teleport through it. We will see. Fingers crossed we don't die. Okay, there's nothing you can do about the Aether Fire on the floor. You are going to take damage from it, and resistances don't matter. The Aether Fire on the floor does not care that you have 80% Aether resistance, it doesn't care that you have damage absorption, it just does damage to your health as a percentage every single tick. The only real way to stop it is to have a ton of regeneration, which is something you're going to want to have anyway, but most characters are not going to have enough regeneration to just stand in it. So guaranteed dynamite here. There is also another dynamite up ahead. If you need Aether crystals, because let's say you just did a bunch of component crafting and you use them all, don't come here. Go to the Warden's Laboratory and get the crystals there. If the crystals aren't dropping for you there, you may have to come here. But this is absolutely last resort kind of thing. Alright, let's see if she will teleport to us. Yep, there we go. Beautiful. So this is not who we're here to kill. I don't think. No, it was who we're here to kill. There's an Aether Golem over here who we're also going to kill, because why not? And this is the second guaranteed dynamite in this section. So it's always here. Anytime you come through the mines here, you are guaranteed 2 dynamites. Here is Venarius. Name sounds like a disease you want to avoid. Let's just use a pot here. And there we go, tainted brain matter is not bad. Okay, so we have one more thing to do before we turn that in, and that is we're going to go and kill Sister... Checking. What is her name? What is her name? Sister Bravna. It was Sister Bravna. Okay. We're going to go kill Sister Bravna. Now, she is just up here in Fort Harren? Yeah, Fort Harren. So you will have to fight through a bunch of, not manticores. You will have to fight through a bunch of Kaiman's Chosen to get into the castle. If you had sided with Kaiman's Chosen, this castle would be populated by Death's Vigil, and Sister Brava would not exist in your game. You would have to wait until Elite, and make sure you pick the right faction at that point. So, into the fort, and Sister Brava is up the back, sort of up here-ish. And as I said, if you had sided with the Kaima's Chosen, this castle would be full of undead and cold damage summoners. It's not what we're after. Oops. Love being stunned out of a dash. Good times. But not for me. Alright, so again, this is the Kaiman's quest will be to come in here and kill the Death's Vigil version, and you will get dynamite here as well. Here's Sister Bravna. This is who we're here for. Taking a lot of damage from something. So since the potion is on cooldown, we are running away from that, whatever it is. I think it's her. There we go, alright. And she dropped the MI we were after, which is this. Another half a second off the recharge on Via's Might. This is probably going to mess up our resistances. It's actually not too bad. And we definitely want that runestone back. However, it's not quite instant, but it's pretty close. What did she have? Maven's Wit. Well, we don't have... that's actually okay. The Demolitionist is kind of meh, but that's alright. I'm happy with that for now. And let's go get our runestone back. With expensive add-ons like this one isn't super expensive actually, but if you had something like, you know, one of the chest adorns that needs 12 chthonic seals or something like that, you definitely want to keep those, because they are going to be expensive to make. Warding of corrosion. Of corrosion is useless. Warding, I think, is the chaos res there. That is a lot of extra armor. I think we take that. This chest is actually pretty good. The battle cry proc is decent, but I think we're going to skip it for now. These gloves, elemental seal proc. Right. Let's go get our restless remains, is it? Yep, get those back. And you can use ancient armor plates if you are so inclined. This character's armor rating is not going to be massive, but I do like to use a scaled hide. At least one, just to get the armor absorption up. I would like... actually, how is... So I could now take one of the silk swatches off and put on an ancient armor plate on the legs. Which is actually not an awful idea. It would uncap bleeding, which is not ideal, but you know what, I'm going to do it. Why not? So we'll keep the item, and then we'll chuck on one of these. So a bit more physique, a bit more armor. That plus 35 armor applies only to the pants, but the 8% armor applies to all of our armor, and then the armor absorption gets chucked on top. So we're now using 90% of our armor, and we're hoping we get hit on the chest and or legs. Right. And at that point, I think we're going to call this episode done, so thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one when we go kill Karoz, and goodbye for now.